Hello and welcome to the next episode of Let's Talk Brand, the first in Poland series of video interviews with world-class branding experts. Today I'm excited and honored to interview marketing guru Seth Godin. Can you believe that Seth Godin is the author of 20 books that have been bestsellers around the world and have been translated into more than 35 languages? Some of them were translated into the Polish. He's also the founder of the altMBA and the Akimbo Workshops, online seminars that have transformed the work of thousands of people. He writes about the post-industrial revolution, the way ideas spread, marketing, leadership, and most of all, changing everything. You might be familiar with his books Linchpin, Tribes, The Deep, Purple Cow, This is Marketing, to jest Marketing, and The Practice. His blog is one of the most popular in the world. His podcast is in the top 1% of all podcasts worldwide. In 2018, he was inducted into the Marketing Hall of Fame. Hope you will enjoy listening to my conversation with Seth Godin. Yes, hi, hello, Seth.
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Hope you're doing well.
Yes.
Um, Seth, as a warm up, I have a question I like to ask because sometimes I'm surprised by an answer. Have you ever been to Poland, or have you worked for a company based in Poland?
Well, I don't do any consulting, but yes, I have been to Poland. I cut through Warsaw once, but I
Okay.
confess I do not have any adequate experience or magic that has happened to me because the people in Poland are terrific, but there hasn't been a good occasion. Now that I don't fly
Okay.
for work anymore, I think it's unlikely I will be there anytime soon.
Okay. Somehow we are in Poland because this is this way. There is your book, which was translated also into Polish language, which is wonderful. Why I'm asking this, because one of the idea behind this podcast is the presentation of best experts, so that the Polish entrepreneurs, marketers, and students know where to look for inspirations. And most of the experts I'm interviewing were never been in Poland, so that's why I'm doing this. And I think, unfortunately, maybe even though you are a global star, some people in Poland still may not know you. Um, uh, and I think when people see someone who is super successful, build a brand, they ask themselves a question, how he or she did this, and how you became guru authority in the field of marketing. What's your story?
Well, I think it's important to understand that almost nobody on any country on earth knows who I am. That there are 8 billion people on earth. And if one of my books sells 1 million copies, that's a lot. So it's very easy to dissuade ourselves from whatever journey we're on because we don't think we can be super successful. But I'm here to tell you super successful doesn't mean reaching a lot of people. It means reaching people who would miss you if you were gone, reaching people who want to hear from you. But the smallest viable audience is not that many people. And you don't need any customers outside of Poland or even outside of Warsaw because it's enough. And if we can put ourselves on the hook for that, that is enough. So, you know, my blog, which now has 1 million readers, had 100 the first year. And I wrote for those 100 people, but I wrote for them in a way that they would share it with someone else. And that is the mindset, not how do I average it out and reach everyone? It's how do I make it specific enough so that someone would miss it if I didn't do it.
All right. Um, but what is your professional background? Because you're an author, you've wrote 20 books. I don't know how many years you've been writing these books, 20 years or more. But before, or where did it
Yeah,
start?
I'm not sure I want to use up too much of your listeners' time, but the short version is um, I used to be a computer game designer and then a book packager. And then I invented one of the very first internet companies. I invented email marketing with my team. So if you've ever gotten an email that you wanted to get, that's because of the work we did. Then I wrote a book about it. And I've started other companies since then. I'm a teacher, I've run workshops. But none of that should let anyone off the hook because each one of us, if you have the technology to connect to this conversation, has enormous privilege, more power than the last king of France did. And the real question is, what are we going to do with it?
Mhm. Okay. You have a huge tribe or a huge audience. You are influencing many people around the world with your books, through your speaking. So you get the attention, you get the trust. And do you feel this is a responsibility because so many people are listening to you?
Well, every day I feel a responsibility and an obligation because there are some people who have given me the benefit of the doubt. And the benefit of the doubt is really important. It means that when someone confronts something they're not sure of or unsure or skeptical about, they're inclined to believe the person who brought it to them. The benefit of the doubt is precious and you don't want to waste it. And so there are no hidden sponsorships on my blog. There's no advertising on my blog. I don't do any consulting. I don't invest in any companies because I treasure the benefit of the doubt and I don't want to waste it.
All right. Um, Speaking about responsibility, this is your new project or the last project you started. Who is responsible for climate change?
Wow. Um, you know, the Carbon Almanac, which is a volunteer
Yes.
project that I did with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other people from around the world, including in Poland, um, is about a system. And the system started 120 years ago. Nobody alive today built that system, and all of us are part of that system. And so it's not helpful to point a finger to one person and say, because you own a coal plant or because you went in on a private jet, you are responsible for climate change. What is useful is to say, we need to see a system. We need to understand how that system has been marketed to us, how we've been indoctrinated into thinking that it's normal. We need to understand that carbon footprint was made up by marketers, that plastic recycling doesn't work, that each one of us has the chance to speak up and change things. If you refuse to see it, then you're responsible. And if after you see it, you don't lean into making it better, then you're responsible. But right now, we are in a system and we have to change the system.
Okay. Uh, I've heard this word change in your writing and speaking many times. And I wonder, I think it's the kind of clue. And but do you think that the marketing, or rather the people using marketing, are somehow responsible for what is happening now?
So I think that responsibility is one of the most underused words in our daily language. We talk about freedom, but we don't want to be on the hook for what we do. So, the fact is, if you go to work as an investment banker and you're pillaging companies and ripping them to shreds, you could say, well, if I didn't do it, somebody else would. The system just does those things. But at some level, you are responsible for the work you do. And we're all hypocrites in that we want things to get better, but we don't do things perfectly. That I live a life that uses 10 times as much carbon as somebody in another country might. I am responsible for those choices. So we should acknowledge that there's responsibility plenty to go around. What I'm really curious about is what are we going to do with it? So if you're a marketer and you know how to influence people, you're on the hook because you influence people. And if you are helping a client sell a bad product, it's on you to go get that client to change their mind.
Mm-hmm. You said if you are a marketer, my friend from the United States, Richard Czerniawski, maybe you know, a wonderful marketing expert, asked me, and he asked his tribe a very intriguing question. When can you say you are a marketer? And he wanted me to finish the sentence. You are not a marketer until. And I wonder what would be your answer.
I think that marketing isn't about advertising or hype or hustle or interrupting people. I think that marketing is helping to create a story, a true story that changes people and spreads. If you do those two things, that is the work of marketing. And so it is possible for a chef to just be a cook and to make what the person before them made. Or they could actually be a chef, which is being a marketer, which is coming up with something that gets us to the edge of somewhere, that creates a feeling for people, that causes a change in their state. That is marketing, because everything that touches the market is marketing.
Okay. So the marketing of, so what is marketing of the 21st century? It's about the change. It's about the story, as you said.
I think that that is correct. I think that marketing in the 1960s and 70s was, could you buy enough TV ads to make enough money to buy more TV ads? There were occasional exceptions to that. You know, if we look at the advertising of the Volkswagen in 1962, I would say that those were marketing choices, not advertising choices. But now, you know, name any big worldwide brand. They didn't get there by running ads. They got there by telling a story.
Okay. And what do you think is the marketing mindset of the future? What's going to be next?
Well, I think that
Can we predict it?
I think that what's next is what's happening right now. It's a combination of the division of our culture into small, tiny parts and an awareness of the end of industrial capitalism and a cognition of the power that we have over our planet. And that when we add those two things together, it becomes ever more clear. Average stuff for average people at volume, convenient, and price is not the answer. The answer is actual creation of experiences and services and products that change people for the better and give them connection, because we have enough division in our world and people are thirsty for connection.
Mm-hmm. So changing people for the better, I think this is something very important, because there is too much of everything, and there's so much noise in every category in the market. And I think still entrepreneurs have this old mindset of just earning money, not changing someone's life for better. And I wonder, what's your recipe of how to stand out on such overcrowded market?
Well, the recipe is there is no recipe, because as soon as someone tells you the recipe, it's not going to work anymore.
Okay.
The opportunity is first to figure out who you seek to serve. Who specifically? What do they believe? What do they want? What do they dream of? Where are they going? And then help them get to where they want to go. And we can influence where they want to go. But first, we must begin with somebody. If you want to teach a 4-year-old how to read, you know what the project is, right? That this one person in front of me needs to learn how to read. Well, we can multiply that by any number of people.
Mm-hmm. But still, I think people struggle to answer the question, how do we know who we serve? Who is our client? What are their needs? Is it about the big data or rather small data?
No, it's about bravery.
Bravery.
Yes, because if you don't know who to serve, you can't get in trouble for failing them, right? If you can be very specific about who has a problem that you will solve, now you're on the hook. You might fail. So being really clear. This happened to me the other day. Someone said they made a product for everyone. I said, that's nonsense. There is no product that is usefully made for everyone. We have to be really specific about what's the mental state of the person who is ready to listen. So, you know, in your case, you're making a book that's going to reach tens of thousands of people. Is it going to reach everyone in Poland? Of course not. Is it going to reach all the marketers? No. It's only going to reach a certain kind of marketer who's interested in a certain kind of forward motion. That's all it's for. So don't get all hung up on translating it into some other languages or reaching big audiences of people who don't care. That's not what it's for.
Okay. And what if I have a wonderful idea? I have some kind of niche. I narrowed my focus, but I know that's going to work because I understand the client needs, but I know in the same time that it's going to cause some problems. I don't know, environmental problems, or what should I do then? So how should I judge when we are facing so many problems with, for example, climate change?
Okay, so you're asking two different questions. So let me try with the first one first.
Okay.
If you have a good idea, the temptation, particularly if you're talking to a marketing person, is to say, how do I get the word out? How do I introduce the idea to lots of people? And I just want to, that's where I thought you were going. I want to just challenge that by saying, if you share your idea with the right 10 people, just 10, does it resonate with them? Does it change them? Do they tell the others? If the answer is yes, then you don't need the word to get out because they'll get the word out. If you do something remarkable, people will talk about it and it will spread. But to the second half of your question, the systems change is what's important. If you want to be proud of your work and you want to be able to look at your grandchildren 10 years from now and say, the world is better because of what I did, I think that the work we need to do is not say, I figured out how to make a plastic bottle a little bit less damaging. I think the work is, I figured out how to help change the system. And it's a system that's based on concrete and cows and combustion and coal. And when we address the systemic problems, we are more likely to get systemic solutions, which will undo 100 years of bad behavior.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there any book? Which of your 20 books you wrote is most important for you?
Well, if I had 20 children, I would say which of my 20 children is my favorite, and of course, I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I think if someone is starting out, my book, This is Marketing, which is right here,
and behind me,
it's written for that person who hasn't read the other books. In terms of books about, how we navigate our lives, I would say my book Linchpin and the book The Dip help there. And then I have a free book, which I hope people will go read, which they can find at stopstealingdreams.com, about education. Because I think that the indoctrination of education is at the heart of so many of our challenges. And once we learn to see what's actually happening in education, we have a chance to do something about it.
Okay. And there's a new edition of Purple Cow, I know, now on the market.
Pretty new, like 5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's new in Poland now.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay, I have to compare it with the old one, and I have to check what was.
I think I only added 10 pages to the end. It's not that different.
Okay, so it's not that much. How to become a number one in the okay, your blog is one of the most famous number one in the world. How to do this? How to become the number one?
Well, I think the first thing is don't try to be the next Seth Godin, because there already is a Seth Godin. Don't try to be the next anything. It's very hard to displace somebody who's already established a genre and a format. But I'm not on TikTok, and I don't tweet or use Facebook, or my Mastodon is just a repeat of what I do. Show up in a community that needs to hear from you, right? That if there's a Mastodon install in Warsaw that has 500 leaders in Warsaw on it. Be the ringleader of that place. Organize that place. Connect that place. Rank and highlight and be the center of that place. Then you'll be number one.
Okay. So you can build a tribe, as I said, of 10, 20.
Yeah,
50.
I think that it's important. After I wrote the book Tribes, I tried to help people understand you will probably not have a tribe. I do not have a tribe. If you are lucky, you will be able to narrate for a tribe that already exists. So, Lucas, there would still be marketers in Poland even if you didn't exist. You are narrating to them, they're not yours. And that gives you a sense of humility that lets you do your job better.
So when we can say, okay, maybe let's explain. If you can explain it, what is a tribe?
A tribe is a group of people that share a culture, a way of being, a goal, progress. They're insiders and they're outsiders. That you can tell when you're walking through an airport or at a party who's in your cultural subset just by looking at them, right? That one of the ways that Apple built the single most valuable consumer product of all time is because you don't get an iPhone because it's better than an Android phone, because it's not. You get one because it's a signal that you're in some sort of digital circle of people. And so our goal is to realize that there are lots of people who feel disconnected. There are lots of people who wish they could be seen, heard, understood. If you can connect them, they will reward you.
Okay. Is there any new book coming? Are you still writing?
I am still writing. I stop, and then every once in a while I have no choice but to come back. So it's entirely possible there will be another book, but I can't talk about it.
Okay, wonderful. And what's your daily routine when you're writing? You are writing a blog, you have a podcast, and do you write every day?
I think everyone should write every day. I think everyone should have a daily blog. I don't think it matters who reads your blog. I think knowing that there's going to be a blog post from you tomorrow makes your life better today. Because all day you're saying to yourself, what am I noticing? What am I seeing that if I shared this with other people, they would be glad I did? And so it makes you more attentive. It also means that you can look back 5 or 10 years later and say, oh, this is what I was thinking then. I was wrong or I was right. And you can learn from your former self as well as learning from your future self.
Okay, so it's wonderful, wonderful advice. Thank you so much. I do hope that one day you will come to Poland and share your knowledge and your wisdom with Polish entrepreneurs, marketers, and students, because that's why I'm doing this podcast and this press interviews and other things, because I want to introduce the best minds from the world to the Polish marketers. Seth, thank you so much for this short conversation, but sharing your knowledge with my audience, which is Polish entrepreneurs, marketers, and students. It was really a pleasure to have you here. And actually, thank you for being a part of my Polish branding revolution. I'm not going to ask you if you can invite people to where they can follow you, because it's super easy. Just Google Seth, and that's it. And that's enough. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure. Good luck with the projects, and I'm glad we got to connect. We'll see you. Be well.
Thank you.